What are you looking at?
Apparently a moron. You're a moron.
People don't get what they deserve. They just get what they get. There's nothing any of us can do about it. This pretty much perfectly encapsulates the no-nonsense, 100% rational approach to life that has made Dr. Gregory House a Sigma legend on the screen.
It's a basic truth of the human condition that everybody lies.
Dr. House of Fox's House MD is a typical example of the contradictions that characterize the life of a Sigma male. How can a character so well known for his misanthropic, wry approach to life have managed to capture the hearts of audiences for so long? Well, the answer lies in the more classic of his Sigma traits: Gregory House when we meet him. Right from the get-go of Season 1 of House, MD Gregory House cuts a striking figure. Having grown up a military brat and being transferred from base to base alongside his father as a child, House gained insightful exposure into the world from an early age. We see this throughout the show in his affinity for a wide variety of languages, including Chinese, Greek, Japanese, Portuguese, Spanish, Hindi, and Yiddish.
講是你鬼懂就冇啦。我從來不會破壞秘密，但是
And his Sigma thirst for knowledge was already shining through at a young age, as, while stationed in Egypt, the young Gregory House developed a passion for archaeology and treasure hunting that would go on to form his deductive and diagnostic prowess as an adult. It was during his time in Japan, around the age of 14, that the young Sigma found his calling. Having witnessed the respect and admiration bestowed upon a Baraku doctor who solved a mystery case that nobody else could, House knew what he wanted to do with his gift for problem-solving. While still a student in medical school, Gregory had already become a legend among his peers for his sharp diagnostic capabilities, and eventually he would go on to diagnose himself out of a life-threatening situation. Prior to the start of the series, House suffered an aneurysm that went undiagnosed until the tissue in his leg started to die. Only House's Sigma ability to take matters into his own hands and diagnose himself saved him from a critical fate.
I want to get better. Whatever the hell that means.
Although he was then left with chronic pain that would set the stage for the cantankerous Dr. House we would come to know by the time the series begins. And beyond his cynicism, Dr. House possesses many of the most recognizable Sigma traits of any major screen character of recent years, including, number 1, my way or the highway. Dr. House is a champion of the notion that if you want something done right, you'd best do it yourself. And he's often portrayed as being deeply misanthropic and possessing little faith in those around him. And he's slow to trust others and would always prefer to have as much responsibility over his own conditions as possible. When others try to meddle with him or to boss him around, his Sigma instincts are quickly triggered, and this is a classic Sigma trait. As lone wolves, Sigmas hate to feel as though they are living under somebody else's thumb. Even if they can't always be 100% confident that they're making the right decision, the most important thing to a Sigma male is that he made that decision for himself. A perfect example of this Sigma trait in action in House MD is the breakdown of his relationship with former partner Stacey Warner. Following House's aneurysm, he was presented with two choices: either amputate the leg to prevent organ failure and death, or perform a highly risky bypass of dead tissue in his leg that would likely cause heart failure but at least allow him to keep his leg. And Dr. House opted for the risky option, refusing outright the proposition of amputation. However, while he was unfit to make medical decisions for himself, Stacey authorized the hospital to perform a partial amputation of flesh from his leg, leaving him unable to fully walk. Though Stacey and Gregory's medical caregivers thought this was the best option, Gregory was unable to forgive her. And eventually the animosity that built up over this decision was too much and Stacey leaves him. And this is because Stacey crossed one of the biggest red lines that exist when dealing with a Sigma male: trying to take away his independence. When there's a decision to be made, Sigma males, just as was the case with Gregory House, prioritize making that decision for themselves above all else. Number 2. Logical and methodical. Dr. Gregory House is most certainly not an emotional man. In fact, it is his seeming disinterest in feelings that allows him to be so gifted in the art of diagnosis. He loses no time thinking about the petty concerns of the people around him and instead is 100% focused on facts. And in this sense, we can see the ways in which Dr. House was, to some extent, based on another of fiction's most beloved sleuths, Sherlock Holmes, another Sigma male. And Sherlock Holmes is similarly famous for his lack of people skills, and yet is able to cut through right down to the heart of a mystery nonetheless. Both House and Detective Holmes have the ability to see what everyone else misses, precisely because they only deal in the facts. At one point, Dr. House makes the point, "I don't ask why patients lie, I just assume they all do." And we see here that his inherent distrust of human behavior leads him to an assumption that, at least when it comes to making medical diagnoses, benefits him in comparison with his more passionate colleagues who may tend to place greater importance upon the more human, emotional element of their profession.
Thing.
Sometimes the best gift is the gift of never seeing you again.
Okay, all right.
Being the lone wolves of the social dominance hierarchy, Sigmas learn to operate without the need for help or admiration. They stand on their own 2 feet, slightly outside the dynamics of the rest of the general population, and this allows them to detach from the trivial matters that preoccupy most people's minds. Instead, they are free to devote their minds to thinking outside of the box, often leading them to come up with unlikely solutions that will give the impression of possessing somewhat of a genius quality. Number 3. An unlikely hero. Dr. Gregory House is, by all means, an unlikely protagonist. His notable qualities as a character are his cynicism, his dry wit, his misanthropic approach to others, and what many others may even describe as narcissism. And yet, he manages to win people over. This is because he's not trying to. Being a Sigma male, House doesn't rely on the judgments or the validation of others in order to gain his place in society. He is a self-made man, and when it comes to his self-worth, he's the only judge who gets a say. House is never seen acting out of a desire to impress or charm others. He knows his vocation in life and is truly 100% dedicated to doing his best at that vocation. Damned be the haters.
Can I get bonus points if I act like I care?
House easily shrugs off the judgments of others and gets on with what he knows he needs to do, though his unorthodox diagnosis approaches regularly bring him into conflict with the more conservative or confirmatory of his colleagues. One has to admit that there is still broad and sweeping admiration for Dr. House among his peers. Without even trying to, he still manages to maintain a reputation that precedes him, in a fashion that is completely typical for a Sigma male. Many of the most renowned thought leaders of our time, like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, are Sigma males who found themselves launched into the public sphere and admired by many simply for their ability to think outside of the box. Without ever stepping out and seeking for the approval of the masses, Sigmas tend to win over respect and admiration simply for the fact that they are unpretentiously good at what they do. Whether it be inventing and proliferating new technology or diagnosing a sick patient in need of treatment, the talents of Sigma males are honed and honest enough that even those who don't like them will often still harbor deep respect for them. Now, before I conclude, it would be awesome if you could just take a second to hit the like button if you're finding the video enjoyable. It literally takes you a second, but it's a huge help for me, really supports the channel, and allows me to keep making more videos like this. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. So, in conclusion, while Dr. Gregory House is by no means a likable man, he is undeniably a lovable character. He captured the hearts of fans and critics for 8 long seasons due to his unconventional methods and complete uniqueness. House is a true Sigma male, brilliant and disinterested in what others make of him. He sets his sights on solving puzzles from a young age and throughout his life has stuck resolutely to this passion. Though he may not be the man whose shoulder you'd want to cry on in the case of a broken heart, Dr. Gregory House is most certainly the Sigma male you'd want treating you in the case of a failing heart. And that wraps up this video. For more in-depth looks at the Sigma male traits we can see scattered throughout the media, check out the other videos on the channel and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on an upcoming Bloke Box video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.